that up. Go to the page. And, oh, wow, there's a bunch of people here already. That's good. Yeah, I kind of promoted it a bit. Okay, I made sure I got that off. Live streaming will start soon. And we should be live in 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live interview with a Kickstarter that we are very interested in and that you guys have emailed me and told me about. And today we are looking at Techno.
You got it, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to introduce Brent Spivey, a fellow Floridian who lives on the East Coast. Now, Florida's very big, so that's a few hours away, but still a fellow Floridian. So what I'm going to do, Brent, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to let you talk about this game a bit, and then we'll open it up to questions. If you guys have questions, make sure that you put them in the form of a question, and we'll talk a little bit about this game. So go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend. Have at it.
All right. So, Ella, this game is essentially a 7 or 7, 8 football game that takes everything that you love about Techno Bowl, Madden, and Blitz, and puts it on the table. A few of the things that I really wanted to be able to do with it, to be able to make their own formations. I wanted to make their own plays on the fly, and I wanted a game that really had that quick moving action that football has, and certainty, zero downtime, and just kept the action going. So about 2 years, and we a long play testing process, worked the math on the back end, went into play testing with my core play testers, and moving forward from that, we actually built basically a low-tech simulator pushing through a ton of games and looking at where weak points in the games, that certain skills would affect things, sort of tweaking those. Really got down to a product where we have a football has 32 teams, 26 skills and abilities spread across, and it's a really tight, balanced game. And not talking media, I don't think there's anything out there that really like this does. When I was at Gen Con, come up and look at the game and say, hey, that's in there, like football, and they would watch it for a couple of seconds. It's usually skepticism. They're like, oh, I've seen a lot of football games, or I played Blood Bowl, or and they would watch a couple of plays, and literally at that point, guys would be like, that's football. That plays like a football game. Ask your question: how do you play a zone? How do you play a blitz? It's like 2 or 3 rules really on the back end of all those things. So there's not a rule for every single thing out there, but a couple of that really allow you to simulate what happens on the field.
I think everybody's saying that you're a little choppy there.
Okay, sorry, my connection may not be fantastic.
No, it may not.
Okay, yeah, we'll just work our way. We'll work our way through it, and I'll just make sure that I convey everything.
Okay.
One of the things I want, you're very close. I mean, what's the funding goal here?
The funding goal is $24,400. Right now at $22,022.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, up in the background. I
got to put on the glasses. My eyes are bad.
That's right. Yeah, it's just kind of small there.
That's fantastic. So how long has this been in production? How long have you been working on this project?
It really, all told, coming up to been just about 2 years. 2 years to get it right to where you're seeing it right now.
So now you have 32 teams. Now, are there 32 different? Are there 32 teams of different blocks? Because I know all of them are numbered a certain way and like that. Or do you have just different cards that go with the blocks?
No. So what it is, well, the numbers, and that brings up a good point. So the player numbers in the game, numbers are literally the player skill rating. So the first number tells you how far they can move. Double that is how far they can throw. Throw to within their skill rating, you get +1. Higher numbers, things with dexterity. So jukes, shakes, all better with a higher number. Lower numbers are better for things like blocking, shoves, and things like that. So every time when you get the game, there are actually 250 tokens. There are 8 tokens for every team that'll go and stay in, and you will get all of them. Now, we start with 8 cards in the box, and then we're going to unlock the rest through stretch goals. And a lot of people always ask me, why did you put all the tokens in the box? Well, any team that doesn't get unlocked in the game is going to be available printed on demand through drive-through cards, because everyone wants to. So if you want to play the jack-o'-lanterns or the lumberjacks, to get those right away at a.
So you'll be able to pick up these teams, after this funds, which we really hope that it funds. You'll be able to. There'll be a website where you can pick this up and stuff like that. Right.
So yeah, drive-through is they do it for big games as well. So and all these other games have it where you can essentially go and order a deck, print it right away, and send it to you. And they have high-quality cards, videos that I've used, and that just allows me. Offer people who back at certain team levels or things like that their cards immediately and not have to wait, a year for an expansion or, another box or wait for another Kickstarter, because they'll already have the player tokens right in the box.
Now, what's the learning curve on this? I mean, is there a big learning curve? I mean, how long would it take to really get the rules down, and how big is the rule book on this?
Okay, good question. And this is no exaggeration. And if you go and look at some of the geek threads or things like that, quite literally, a person that came up to me at Gen Con and sat and just watched a play, 1 or 2 plays, they had the basics down. They could go on their own table, no problem. Occasionally, that's a question here or there. And then you send for, but yeah, most and we go 1 or 2 plays, and they're up and running. Watch us play on Periscope and things like that.
Okay, yeah, you were breaking up a little bit, but like that's you said, 1 or 2 plays you can pretty much figure out everything that's going on with it.
Yeah, you've got it. And I had Gen Con, they would watch that one play, and they would go sit at the beside me and start playing. The dice rolls are, so when you roll that 2d6 with modifiers, if you get a roll, you get a free activation with another player on your team. You're going to get, your opponent gets a half. Your opponent gets a free activation after reversing you. That and can compare the numbers on the table. There's not a lot of other things to remember. There's a rule called an adjustment where you can, if you flip a guy over, you can move him and another player in your team up to half their move. You can do that once per play. And that's the kind of thing you can use to boost in for a blitz or drop into double cover ups on a runner. And then the others are read and react, and that's basically swapping your cards to get a new card up. And once you know those things, it's just fine-tuning and details and really learning the strategy of the game or the tactics of the game to read your opponent. Even setting up your formations. Most guys watch them once or twice, they're like, oh, I can do that. And calling your play is 5 cards in any order that you want, and that's the order that you and your deal in to activate them. So everyone who's got an idea of what they want to do a running play or things, it's later on, faking your motion, doing all those things that you do in football, faking, dropping back in zone or running the ball until they have height on the run so you can throw the pass, accomplishing those things. Serve is getting in the game low, being great. This game will be, with most people, I think, really low.
Now, one of the things that I was curious about, is there a campaign mode?
So what I plan on releasing for free after the game, we're going to do something called a Legacy League, and that's where you have a budget for teams, player skills. It's more important it's more expensive certain players, and then you can actually trade them with other players, free agency. Other people can pick up that player. And each season, players that you can't afford to police go into the draft for the next year and can actually be drafted up front a discount. So these guys can have like a longevity and a lot on different teams. And for those leagues, what I'm going to do is just, again, those print-on-demand card packs that have like five seat cards with numbers, so you can just put the player's name on them and actually someone else as you go through the league and through the season. And dynasty mode, like a franchise mode.
Wow, that really sounds like, and the board's beautiful. Now, how long? I mean, when will we see this game? I mean, now, realistically, because sometimes Kickstarters can be kind of late, shall we say? But I mean,
right.
When's the estimate? When's the real estimated delivery for this for people that are? Because I know there's some people that really want to get their hands on it. And also, guys, if you have any questions, this is a perfect time. We have the designer on the line here. It's a perfect time to ask any questions that you may have about this project. But go ahead and answer that question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Right now, March is what we're shooting for to get it. Actually, I went at the end of February, like after the Super Bowl is over. We're aiming for March. The only two things that can really affect if this Kickstarter goes through the roof and we end up having to put all in the game box, because it includes all those pledges, that's a lot of graphic design work to get everyone's name, cards, and get those checked and do that. So could that put us back 2 or 3 weeks? Maybe. It could. I do as much of it up front as I can as people pledge now. I'm trying to get names updated on the cards and make sure everything looks good. But the only other thing is at the beginning of the year, you've got the holiday. So if we don't get it shipped out that's another thing that could throw us back a couple of weeks, just based on the way things work. But I've got this already. My manufacturers have seen the game, and we've talked in the files. We're ready to go. It'll just be most of the graphic design, and then hopefully getting it in time to miss the holidays.
Right. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing, is it?
That's not.
You make a game, and then you have a great idea, and then all the logistics. What are some of the struggles that you've had with this?
Well, this is the Kickstarter. So my last one went up, and I'm a guy who's very much a little OCD, and I like everything done on time. A couple of reviewers and a couple of guys who were going to have some videos ready, supposed to be ready day one, and so I launched the project, and they weren't ready. And then a couple of days in there, I'll get them to you. We'll get some other. And it wasn't happening. So how Kickstarter can get ugly out there. So people were upset. I wasn't getting movement, and I think we had done 11,000 the first 2 days. Going into day 3 and 4, I was looking at it and saying, okay, aren't going to hit. But I tell you what's really cool. A lot of people reached out to me. So other manufacturers, hey, we can give you a lower print run. You don't have to do a theme print run. We can do 1,000 game print run. The pledge manager company said, hey, we can make a reading after this is over, so you don't have to estimate and put that in goal. And you have to overfund and guesstimate how many you're when you do that. So that was a front, but it actually ended up working out really well because it's $10 less per box. Our funding goal is, it was before, it was like a $62,000 funding goal before. And some fulfillment centers and other things that have actually made it a lot more attractive, and work up front before, Jamie Stegmeyer and sites and all that. But just making those connect people and companies has, I think, really been key to get on the Kickstarter right now.
Now, is this going to be Europe friendly? There was a question if it was going to be Europe friendly.
Yep, it's EU friendly and Canada friendly. So those.
Now, are there Canadian rules?
That's funny. My one buddy fan of Canadian football, and he's like, okay, we need to make a board that's a a dome, and we'll shrink this up, and we'll do that. And a couple. So I was like, you know what? If nothing else, I'll throw a special board out for that, because it really would be just about, because the game moves so fast anyway. You get that double defense zone and kind of shrink lines up a little bit, and you'd be good to go. The Alouettes would.
Now you get a lot of stuff in the box with this. I mean, I was looking at some of the components that you put in this thing. This is a monster box of the game. And what is the cost to get in this, where you get the basic game, just a basic game?
$49 is what it takes to get into the game, and that gets single stretch goal that we unlock. A lot of guys are on there. I want to pledge for some add-ons. I want to pledge for this, and I'm like, this is a starter campaign. I want everyone who gets in this game to get things. So, as we get that upgraded game where the playmat's beautiful and the card stands and the teams add that in there. So, this game right now, if you're seeing what it cost me per unit to make this game should, and I know people are used to paying what they're used to paying, but if doing the math, $65 game. So they're getting a break right there, unlocking all of these cards, and we get all of that stuff in the box. Really expensive. It's a bargain, and that's what I want people to feel like. Any game, I want them to say, I got in on the ground floor with a groundbreaking football game, and I got a steal.
Mm-hmm.
I got so yeah, I want that's how I want to get this, and exciting, man.
So obviously you're a big football fan without saying too much, correct?
Right. Yeah, I love football.
So we've got to ask you. We got to ask you the big question. I mean, who's your team?
You know what? Always, I'm a Floridian. I stick with the Bucks. With the Bucks.
Okay. All right.
I know you can't be a fair weather fan. You just can't.
Oh, no.
I got to go with them.
I'm a lifelong Seahawk fan. Okay. So
all right.
I've gone through my pains for forever. So this little window of greatness, I know it's all going to come crashing down sooner than later, but at least I had my moment.
But they're looking good now. They look great. And there's a team that's very similar game. I don't know if you saw them, the Tyrants. They've got them in secondary with Rex Sherwin and a few other guys that are
We got people. Here goes Joe. He's going to start with his Jets stuff. Yeah, how those Jets doing right now? After they got
the space. You're right.
They got beat up pretty badly. He loves his Jets. You can't be a fair weather fan. My son's a big New England fan, so I got to deal with that. That Super Bowl. Oh God.
That's painful. That's painful stuff, especially when you have two dials saying else.
Well, I just felt bad for my wife. Seattle cheated. Here we go. Everybody's calling out their teams now. We got Pittsburgh. We got Seattle cheated. But getting back to the game, the board looks gorgeous. How big is it?
You're asking me, and I don't even have it in front of me. Game board is like 24 by 14,
28 by 14.
What is it?
28 14.
28 by 14 inches. It's nice because, like on a typical, table at a convention, you can roll it all the way out. Doesn't overlap the edges, so it's good. And hey, throw that to me here. Here, I'll hold it up. You can actually see it. This is exactly how big it is here.
Oh wow! So it's one of those mat things. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the upgrade. It's able. The very first upgrade is turning it into one of these mats.
Yeah, because those are fantastic. Those things. I mean, they go down real nice. They hold everything together real nice. Instead of having that piece of cardboard where you're constantly folding it and whatnot, and things sliding all over.
And everything slides all over it, and you roll the dice, and it dings it up nice and quiet when you roll, and I love them. So
yeah, that's fantastic, and that's the first goal that unlocks.
Yep, that's the very first mat in there, and that's one that was important to me to get in there because we've been testing along. All of my play testers have them, and they're like, we got to get this. You know, what's up there now is what I felt was the force without the stretch goals is what I felt was the minimum viable. Probably those 8 teams to get people in the game, but then I want to get right into those cool little extras and, you know, the little more fun 8-bit card stands there. Back to the day. So, yeah, the more funly, you know, that replaces the wooden card stands. That's just another nice little extra, just little details that we gamers love, you know, where you
so what
cool little things.
So what drove you to go with the name Techno Bowl? I mean, is it an homage to Tecmo Bowl?
Yeah, well, yes.
You got to be careful.
It really,
yeah.
Well, and in this case, you know, and especially like on the Kickstarter, it's tech ? NO exclamation.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying this is an analog. It's what you love about Blitz and all of that, and it's no tech tabletop. And actually, I've been to IP lawyers and things like that, and exactly what I can and can't do, because it's essentially making it into a sentence and making it confusion. They're like, that's perfect. It's the perfect parody. Making it a board game. You check off with that one.
Yeah, that's good, because, you know, that's the last thing you need, and you know, that could scare off some people too. Which you know, as long as we have that cleared up, I think that's a big deal for everybody too.
Yeah, and I always point people, I don't know if you've ever seen like a Squid Kids, a little line called Tendo, the number 10 dash D exclamation mark, and it's basically knockoffs of games and controllers and things like that. And they've been in business for a long, you know, they have, you know, all sorts of, well, they're making fun of games, and you're good in those things. It's very clear it's a parody. That's why a lot of teams that are very far away, you know, we were going through the process of making teams, but he's like, oh, you know, we can make the Seahawks the ball hawks. And I'm like, once you get another hawk in there and you get those things in the term, you know, I know it's a football term, but that's where you start crossing that line. You know, a T-Rex with the Seahawks.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you know, the best thing, once you get the game in your home, you call whatever the heck, whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You could do whatever. You know, and everyone already, I didn't even put it on the Kickstarter, but everyone's always like, that's the Pittsburgh Pitbulls, or that's you know.
Well, you know,
Dallas, the Bulls.
I started looking at that board and I started thinking, okay, how can I keep stats? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and guys, there's a bunch of guys who have already taken the rules are posted up on Board Game Geek, like a pre-Kickstarter. You know, there's graphic design and maybe a couple of technical edits, but the rules are the rules. So guys have already, it's fast. It's humbling. They've actually gone and made their own boards. They've done stuff. They've ordered custom play mats and stuff. They're guys each right now with those rules and keeping track of the stats. They've got everyone's rushing yards, number of sacks, everything. They've got it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a sheet now so that people can keep track of that.
See that?
So they could
see, especially being somebody that loves to keep stats. I mean, I love that kind of stuff, because when you start playing and then that team becomes personal to you, that's what they're creating right there. And you know, you could do this. You lay down the format. Now you can do anything with it. It's like a sandbox in a lot of ways.
It is. It's funny too, because you're right. One of the guys all the time, when you start getting into your team and your player, and you will do things that don't make sense on the table because you want to get that out, or he needs another, 20 rushing yards to get there. So you'll start to be able to call their play thinking, oh, he's here, but I know he's going to do that because he wants to get those stats in the league. And that's that other layer of sports that you see there that I think is that's what makes it fun.
Somebody wrote, how do players act when they're on fire?
So good question, because we have we have like a mode called Inferno mode, which is essentially NFL play. So when you put a player on fire, right off the bat, they get +3 to all their checks, and +3 is the matter you can get in the game. So right off the be as successful as you can be when you're rolling those dice. That's being on fire itself. But Then other fire tokens, you can use them at a 1-to-1 ratio to add extra movement. So, or throw the ball for move 7 spaces. You can burn 3 fire tokens to move 10 spaces. You can also take those 3 fire tokens and immediately buy any skill in the game for your player. Activation. So a guy who doesn't have juke, you can buy juke for him. Or you can buy that. A guy who doesn't have route passer, you can literally play that. Buying skills in the middle of the game. We always joke it's like a fight where you're changing styles because you're ready for something, buys a skill right on the fly, buys another skill on the fly. There's skills too. There's one called Firebomb. Normally in the game you can throw a skill rating. That allows you to throw triple their skill rating if you spend all. There's another one that's like a power shove that you can go and take down. And that's a way you get guys off fire. If they get knocked down or get sacked, you take them out there and take them off. So that's the most arcadey. It's probably the deepest as far as 2 guys who know what they're doing. It's hard angles, but it's fun. It gets out of hand. My one buddy, we can play that's 7 on no mode, and he doesn't. If you dust him 24 to the minute you put 8 on 8 and play the all pro mode, it's a real game to him then. So those modes carry that feel. That's one of the things that those intangibles, 8 on 8 feel serious game. It feels more like a Madden where, the arcade probably more difficult and higher. Everyone's usually a little more in it.
Now the basic game, are the games basically close most of the time, or do they, sometimes it just gets out of hand?
It really depends. If you're playing, I always recommend that people start off with 7-on-7 with no skill.
Right.
Basic. That's the basic game. Just teaches you the economy. You can have the whole gamut with that. Games that are super close, but if you take a guy who's very good at the game and someone who's only been playing for a few weeks, that's 7-on-7 with no skills. You will get some nasty scores like 24 or 20, things like that. It can get out of hand, and it's interesting. We've been filming a lot lately and playing games and trying to get a good film. Who's really, really, he and I always play. The other night I beat him 13-0 in an 8-on-8. It just happens. It's like real football, and you'll make all, or those unexpected things happen. I fumble here, or some turnover, or you throw a super high percentage pass rolling 2-3, and the guy just misses it and pick. We like to call it, since we don't kick field goals in the game. So
now you can play a mode where you can kick field goals, and then there's a mode where you can't kick field goals, right? The 7-on-7 you don't kick field goals. The 8-on-8, which all pro, you have field goals involved, correct?
Correct. And that's for a couple of things. One, to make it feel more like a simulation. And much harder to move the ball. When people first start playing the game, it's so nice because everyone's, even some not a football fan. That was the other thing. I had guys at Gen Con, football fan. I'm like, if you look at miniature games or tactics games, just sit down, be fine. But you're going to move the ball. You're going to blitz people if you're playing football and having fun. And you play 7-on-7 for a while, and you'll get to the point where you're like, okay, I can score. Who are good are going to score at some point. It's really hard to stop. That's when you move to 8-on-8. And 8-on-8, much, but that one player, because of the field width, it's got to work for every bit of yardage then. It's hard to get in. And you're going to have a lot of stoppages, and so we needed to get people score since we don't punt in the game. So you get within, now you've got that tactical opportunity, and or do you go for it, or is it too far? So it adds that you would see in any game, any real NFL.
One of the guys said people are already setting up leagues, and the game isn't even out yet.
I love it, man. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what gets me excited, because I want people to be ready, so that when this thing, that they're like, yes, and for their friends that didn't get it or something like that, I want them to be like, hey, you had your shot. I had a conversation before I came here on a guy, a message. He's like, I'm contemplating getting a play. I said, look, I'm telling you, this. If if you're a game and you want a player, there's going to be people talking already. There's people like talking about their players and what stat. That was me who did that. That can't put a price on. Knickknacks and little things and add-ons are one thing. But player name of the game, especially if we get this thing on Tabletopia where everyone's seeing your name. It's just got that cool factor, man. I mean, I've done it with other games, or just to have it out there and support the guy. I'm like, trust me, if you're a fan of football, just get a player name. Just do it.
So one of the guys says, I remember Bo Jackson in the arcade version. He was unstoppable. Is there a player that's in this game that's just nasty?
Well, right off the bat in the core set, as far as running backs go, on the Kittens, he's my go-to running back. That guy is very difficult to stop. One special move that no one else has in the game is called squeeze play. We can't go across the diagonal when two players are there.
Right.
And he can juke across to do that. Most people don't want to let me. He's my go-to. But I did just put an update up today. The Reapers on there and their core lineup, all the core lineups maintain league balance, but then an alternate lineup. And essentially what you do is your stars or your impact players, those are the special players on the team, swap their cards out in their scouting cards. So the Reapers have normally Locke and Howie Short, so it's a defensive strong team. Mm-hmm. The cards out, you can get Bo Nose on there. And let's see. And he is almost running. He can zigzag back and forth across the field. And stiff arm guys juke him out of their he's pretty nasty.
So do you have overtime rules too?
Yep, overtime rules and time clock. So you've got we call them 6-minute halves, and there's 6 spots for time cubes to go into. So if you do a running play, 2 cubes on the clock. If you do a passing play or run out of bounds, it's 1 clock. If you have 5 minutes in the quarter and you do your last play, just 1 cube on the clock no matter what, and then you have 2 timeout cubes. Player can call timeouts. So you have up to 4 timeouts in the game. And those, no matter whether it's a passing, running play or whatever, those do 1 off the time. And then if it's overtime, you flip a guy starts on his 20, whoever, and then you go till you score. At that point, you're not keeping time. Yeah, we have a lot of games go to overtime. And go to overtime.
That's when it gets intense, right?
Oh yeah, it's intense at that point. Flip deciding who gets the ball first, and it's intense too because there's every type of play style on the team. So you've got teams that are balanced defense. You've got pure running attacks. But if you're playing a pure defensive team, that'll get you if you're the one who has the ball first because you're worried about getting it out, or on the other side, can you stop that guy? So you get it too because the teams there's a graduation of skills and play styles that go through the whole league, and honestly, man, it's pretty impressive when you see the spreadsheet that we the simulation games that we don't actually play, but that we do, and see how they match up and all the interesting. There's something for every single player out there who wants to play a team because you just like the logo, and that you want to play the Revolt because you're a fan of them. You're going to learn that. But if you're the guy who's like, I want to play a team that does this kind of passing game, or I want to play a team that does this, there's for everyone. I mean, it's 32 teams, and skill mixes.
That's a lot of teams. Now, what about solo play? Is there any solo rules, or you definitely have to have somebody with you?
No. As a matter of fact, I just put this up for the very first Kickstarter, and I sent it to these guys. The one guy, the very first thing he posted up before he even his first half of play that he did solo, the game, the kill check system, because you get those half activations and those activations and everything else, it plays well solo. And the solo rules, they're embarrassingly simple. It's literally this: you set up the offensive formation, defensive formation, and this is actually how the game normally works. Normally, 1 real world minute to set up your offensive formation. So I do that. Minute when I'm done, timer starts for my opponent. So defensive formation. At that point, you have one shared play. That's where we stack those 5 cards. Now, if you don't get done second, your opponent gets to pick some randomly off your bench and stuff them in your hand to show that you're on time. So that's one of those little extras. Same thing if you don't switch, it's automatic. If you can make them flip their card over first, you get to take false start. If you get to them in the backfield 2 cards. But back to the solo, you'll actually call your offense only would, and then you just grab 5 cards at random for the defense, and then you'll start revealing and resolving the plays you have. And then if it comes to a point where you're like, ooh, I want to read, you flip their card stand around, pick the card that you want, put it in play, and back up, put them on the stand, and keep going. And it's like, you know, an offensive coach for the whole game, playing the defense will see the smart move on there. And because of those, you know, it's always moving. There's going to be half moves. There's going to be total activations. It's like watching a game. It's actually pretty cool. It's simple to execute. Yeah, the solo rules are taking up about that much bit. Yeah, guys are always acting. I'm like, that's all it is.
Wow. That's fantastic, and you know, that I think that really attracts the guy, you know, that can play it by himself, practice by himself, and then go out, you know, to his local store and, you know, play with a bunch of guys. I know a lot of guys are really looking for that kind of interaction.
Right, and you know, it's that's one of the things I like about calling in the formations too. Is, you know, that's in a video game or in something else, and it's just never been there. Something you can tinker with at your house. Let me see what this formation looks like. How would I do this? So you can, you know, card stacks and see how it looks or how it rolls. When we, you know, there'll be, you know, we'll have a bunch of guys gathered around and watch 2 guys play. It's interesting because you will get really good at not only formation and knowing where guys are going to go, but you'll play calling tendencies. That was one of the things at Gen Con. I was playing a guy. A guy kept coming back to play like throughout the day, and he and I were playing a game. And watching the game, didn't even know the rules. They were talking about, oh, this, you know, this just football things we're doing them. But the one guy's like, hey, the other guy's calling. How are you doing? And it's one of the, you'll see a formation. You'll see the way a guy leans or motions. That looks like he's probably going to run over here, or he's going to flood the. You start making more and more subtle reads, like the way they go out, you know, put trips out or do something. You'll be like, oh, he's probably actually to open the running lane because of the way he shifted over this way. Or that's the kind of stuff too, where you're at home doing it, but you'll start to develop your own little subtleties. Your own offensive and defensive coordinator. You'll start to get your own playbook, your own signature moves and sets, and that's that layer. The rules are accessible and easy. It's that other stuff is going to be so cool, and guys comparing their playbooks.
All right, guys, if you have any questions, we're going to finish up real soon here. Now, this is the first game that you've ever developed?
No, actually, before this, I did miniature game rules. And, well, I've got a couple of Origins awards. I got an ENnie award with my buddy, but yeah, so I do most games. So there's one out there, Rogue Planet, which is yeah. So did that. Mayhem, which is a fantasy like Mass Effect. The Battlefield, which was actually another video game adaptation. I based Call of Duty, Battlefield, and all those, and turn them into a first-person shooter rule set. And that one's done really well. Yeah, check that stuff out. Those are on like War Game Vault, on Amazon, and things like that. But the PDFs are pretty cheap. If you've been and see like a little bit of game design or artwork, or see like so I've come from that miniature background, so this is like my first. I've got some design under my belt and some things like that, but you know, I wanted to move into something else, in a more tangible product, and something that, you know, like I want something that's going to have some staying time and be a design that people are like that's a design I've been waiting for. That's the sport wanted. And honestly, man, I think this is it. Every time I've showed this to someone, or someone has actually played this game, it grabs them. It grabs them.
A lot of people mentioned this to me, and they brought it up. You know, me, I'm a big old miniature war gamer as well. You know, so you know, I go back probably a lot longer than you, but you know, we had 2 rocks and we were playing miniatures back in the day.
Oh, right. You know, you find whatever it was, making your own rules. I know. I know.
No, definitely, you know, and when people brought this up to me to investigate it, see if it would be good, you know, to bring you on to channel, you know, I took a look at the video and I was like, wow, you know, this is something else. I mean, you really put some thought into this, and I'll tell you, you got a home run here. I mean, you're almost at the finish line here. You got 8 days, guys. Please support this. You know, this is a really, really great game, and I really like to see it do well. And you know, you've done a wonderful job with it, Brent.
Thanks, man. It means this one. I put everything as and you know, people say, I hope this comes across. There is not a detail. There is not a logo. My buddy's here hanging out with me. He's not a detail that I didn't agonize over in this thing to try to make it that perfect experience where there's something for everyone. So yeah, I think if people go to the site and look at things, look at the player teams, the names, look at. I think they'll see it. I think it'll translate.
Right. One guy said he just already picked it up for $69. just while we were talking. Matter of fact, I just watched it turn. So hey, at least
you got go up. All right, man.
Yeah, you got $69 out of me. So
I love it, man. I love it.
But, oh God, that's funny. But you know, great game. I'm really looking forward to this funding for you, and you know, I wish you the best and everything like that. Oh God, there was something I was going to ask you, and I got knocked off with that thing. But I think we covered pretty much everything here. If anybody has any last minute questions, shoot them out for Brent, who's taking his time to show us Techno Bowl. It's got 8 days left on Kickstarter. He's at 22,071, and we need to get to 2,400 and 24,400.
24,400. Yep.
Yeah, 24,400. Just a little over $2,000. I know you guys can do this, and spread the word out there and let everybody know that, you know, this is really something unique. And I think you know, I really think it's like some of those games. You know, a lot of people bring up Blood Bowl as a very historic game that everybody gets together and has that cult following. I think once everybody gets going with this will build its cult and have its own kind of following that, you know, it'll be very unique.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Hope so. Get everyone on the floor. You know, one other thing too, just a little detail, because it's on the Kickstarter page, and I think the number was 30. You can look on the page. There's a point where if we get to, check out the page. But if we get to like 33,000, even if we don't unlock a team via stretch goal, if it has a full player roster from those in the game pledges box. So, you know, that's a little incentive to say, okay, if you get those in the Zen and you fill up your team, that's going to push our funding limit. My buddy's going to scroll down right now. Keep going. Go down to stretch goals. Keep little bit. Keep rolling. No, keep rolling.
I love the artwork.
Oh, thanks, man. Keep going. It's going to be down where the text is. Yep, 33,900. We hit $33,900. Like, it would take just over 4 to actually unlock the teams. But if we do it this way and get anyone who's got a full roster in the box, and that's one of those things where, you know, a lot of units, but not a lot of in the game pledges. I would actually, so that's why we have that 40,000 limit. It's not. I would just have to, instead of producing 1,000, I have to produce close to. I would actually need more money. But if we have in the game pledges, get everything in the box for a much cheaper price.
I remember what I was going to ask you now.
All right.
If somebody wanted to see the gameplay, besides on the very Kickstarter page, has anybody play tested it out there or reviewed it yet, or Kickstarter previewed it?
Nope, there's no Kickstarter preview or video. And you know, back I got from some guys in the first one, when I plug on the first one and people were like, hey, a preview would be cool or this would be cool. But in the end, they said, will you just showcase the gameplay for us, you and some guys, what you're doing. I mean, there's some guys who have done some written reviews and some, but yeah, and I wanted to kind of eat my own hands and say, okay, we know about this game. We know how it's played. Let's just putting videos up. We've got, I think, 2 up there so far, 2 gameplay videos. I've got another one that should be up here in the next. I'm going to do an Inferno mode, but yeah,
if you want to get, email me a video, I'll be more than happy to throw it up here.
All right, man, I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it up on the channel, and everybody can watch it. We've got 8 days. Let's get this done.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm whatever it takes, man.
Yeah,
I'm down for it.
We're willing to help. Willing to help. All right.
Appreciate
so,
it.
with that said, we're gonna cut this off. I'm gonna switch over to me so everybody sees my ugly mug. Guys, I think this is a great game. I took a look at the video. I really like what I saw. This is a fantastic game, and I love football. And it's very hard to find a really good football game. I played First and Goal. I thought that was all right, but I always wanted something that I can move around. This gives you everything that you want on a board where you are actually making the play as you play. And that's something I think that's really unique and that is missing as far as football games out in the field right now. You guys got a real chance here with 8 days left to go get this. I really suggest go to the page, Techno Bowl. Go take a look at it on Kickstarter, back it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is Rob Bourne, and of course we'll say, Brent, say goodbye to everybody.
Hey, goodbye, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening to me. Enjoyed it.
All right, just hang on the line for a bit. Everybody, we'll see you soon. We got a busy week, as you know. We're going to be painting on Wednesday. Tomorrow, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise. And as always, we'll see you soon. Until next time, I'm Rob Bourne with Brent Spivey. Take it easy.